Today, we find out about Alex's role in the Rick Murray situation. We also talk about Liberty and JT from season 5. And speaking of season 5, Snake's midlife crisis. All this and more in episode 3 of Degrassi WHatifs. Hey there, hello there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond and welcome you to another Degrassi What Ifs episode, and this is episode 3. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for your support, positive and negative. So anyway, let's start off with the first part of our thing, and the first one is about Alex and her involvement in the Rick Murray situation. Basically, I'm going to try to make sure that when I talk about the Rick Murray situation, I talk about how Alex was involved in this. So basically, the episode before Rick came back, Alex and Marco were going head to head for student council president, which Marco wins, and Alex almost uses Marco's homosexuality against him. But Alex is named vice president. However, she and Marco are sickened by the fact that Rick was back no strings attached after what he did to Terry. So they make a meeting with Radich, and basically Radich refuses to budge. Mostly because Radich says that he had no criminal charges, and basically no one else told him he was dangerous. Because I think if the school board or the police had said something, Radich probably would have thought twice. Alex basically thinks that this is about GPA and all that. So anyway, Alex is not too pleased with it. And then Alex basically lashes out at Emma when Emma protects Rick from being beaten up by Alex, of all people. But of course, we soon learn about why Alex was involved with the Rick Murray and the Orange Ribbon campaign. It was because Alex's mom actually ended up with several abusive boyfriends, and basically Alex has to help her out and live through women's shelters and all that. It seemed that, Alex was upset that these men were doing stuff to her mother, and basically they get off scot-free. So basically she takes it upon herself to basically think that she needs to get rid of the ex-boyfriends, and basically pictures Rick as every one of her mom's boyfriends. So basically, it's not too long before Alex, Spinner, and Jay are the three big dogs who will try to destroy Rick at all costs. Alex falsely gives information about Rick being the one who spray painted their cars. Well, Alex didn't really have much to go on. She just basically wanted to make trouble for Rick. All that. Although Rick did spray paint the vehicles. So basically, yeah, her rhetoric was right. So basically, they do this paint and feathers. Alex basically gets the paint and feathers from Spinner and Jay. Well, sorry, Alex uses her powers. I guess she uses her powers to give Spinner and Jay access to somewhere to do the paint and feathers and all that, because Alex returns every so often. So, of course, Alex doesn't get much mentioned until they find out about the shooting, and she basically said that, why did I have to get involved and all that? This is all my fault. And Jay basically tells Alex, you're alive, aren't you? And then basically, yeah. So Alex on the Monday, she decides to go talk to Sove, but Jay tells her, be careful what you say and who you talk to, because he figures that, Alex is basically going to blab. So basically, yeah, Alex gets out of the way. Spinner and Jay get expelled, but she doesn't get any punishment whatsoever. And she goes on to a decent job in seasons 5 and 6. Basically, and all that. It's weird how she has that relationship with Paige, and basically she gets into the clique, and basically people like her and all that. And a lot of people are saying that basically Paige and Alex was lucky that Spinner and Jay got expelled because, their roles were not there, and Alex got to move in the group, even though Alex would sometimes have the guilt and all that. In one season 6 episode, she basically acts like a bully again, and then she realizes she can't be a bully again because of how, she was with Rick and all that. And it turned out to be terrible. And a lot of people figure that Alex self-punished herself for what she did to Rick, even though that, it was a good idea to go after Rick because of, dealing with domestic violence, but yet it blew up in her face in a sense. A lot of fans were pissed off that Alex did not receive any punishment whatsoever. So, of course, the first what if is what if Spinner and Jay had incriminated Alex? Or, in another sense, what if Alex had basically told her on herself? Well, it would have ruined Alex's momentum. Like season 5, the relationship with Paige and basically being at a gentleman's club to support her mother. All that. And like season 6, she moves away. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, it would have ruined that. Who knows what would have happened to Paige, because technically Paige didn't have Alex to hang off of after her breakup with Mr. Olander in season 5. Who knows what Paige would have gotten herself into as a relationship and all that. With me, it's like I couldn't deal with Paige and Alex being a couple because, Paige was perfectly straight and all that. And at times I felt like how season 4 and how men treated her, that being Dean getting away with the rape allegation, Spinner cheating on her with Manny, and with Mr. Olander having an illegal relationship with Paige. Paige's mindset might have been that she couldn't trust men. But that's probably just bullshit on my part. And I will admit that might be bullshit on my part. But yeah, like, basically, you got that. However, there could be another theory. It's possible Alex might have got punished, but she might have been expelled. Like, Alex wasn't the one who did the paint and feathers on Rick. She gave access to the room that Spinner and Jay could do the paint and feathers. She wasn't part of it and all that. She could probably have faced a massive suspension. She could have faced, like, massive amount of detentions. But it might have also depended on the administration because, as we all know, Radich never got the answers to what happened to Rick and all that before he was forced out the door. I think Hatzelakos might have felt sympathy towards Alex because she knows that Alex didn't mean for this to happen. It was just basically a way to get back at Rick. But the question would have been, would Alex have been expelled because of this or not? Part of me thinks that yes. But a part of me also says that basically Alex might have just got lucky, a little bit lenient. And I think she would have got suspensions. She would have probably obviously get stripped of her vice president of student council role. And Marco would have to find someone else, maybe finds Paige to be the number 2 person. But if Paige has her problems, then Liberty probably would sneak in. I don't know, or some other guy. So, yeah, it's hard to say. Like, Alex, I think, self-punished herself, and that nobody found out that she was part of the paint and feathers thing, and only Jade Spinner know that. Well, anyway, I guess you could say Alex got lucky. All right, so theory number 2 is about season 5. So anyway, as we all know, JT and Liberty were having a relationship in season 5. They basically had Liberty had feelings for JT in the first few seasons, but JT never returned them. In season 4, they find out they're compatible with each other, mostly when they work together to try to tell Radich that Degrassi should put Dracula on instead of this stupid musical. And of course, the musical was a byproduct of Radich because of a few things. Number 1 is to make the school look positive with the negative light about the Rick Murray situation. And number 2, to feed his ego and basically try to make himself feel better about his issues. But of course, JT and Liberty stand tall against Radich. He gives them money to detention. They declare their love for each other. It's great. And the fact of the matter is that, Radich gets booted a few days later. Now, of course, JT and Liberty's relationship had issues in season 4 because of a jealous Danny, who was Liberty's brother, who JT wanted to be around as a friend more so than Toby, which led Toby to easily be picked up by Rick. So basically, Danny was upset, but Liberty chose Danny out for trying to destroy a friendship. So JT and Liberty still are there, and then we learn that Liberty is 5 months pregnant when they go into school, and JT crashes his car. So basically, JT tries everything in his power to fix the situation, with having to do with Liberty and a newborn. JT's grandmother doesn't give him much support and all that. However, Liberty says that basically compared to my parents, she's a lamb. So basically, they try their best to have the situation. And basically, when JT has his drug problems, with, he gets his job as a pharmaceutical assistant, and then he steals thallium to give to Jay's group, so that basically they give a lot of money. He can get a lot of money from all that. Liberty forces him to try to get out of the drug life. JT obliges, but the drug dealer does not like it and all that. And then basically JT feels his world's crumbling, so he basically takes some of the pills hoping to die, but he doesn't. Liberty decides to give up the baby adoption because she knows that JT was doing all this to be a good father. And of course, Liberty, of course, should be blamed too, because she was just definitely spending all her time trying to prevent her parents from finding out that she was pregnant and all that. So basically, yeah, Liberty basically was trying to save her own image, if you will. So basically, Liberty gives birth to the kid and puts it up for adoption, and she ends up getting postpartum. Her parents basically don't understand it, and I'll then tell her to suck it up. And basically, Liberty doesn't feel good about it. Liberty and JT, of course, are broken up. Season 6, JT deals with Mia's daughter Isabella, and basically Liberty seems a little bit jealous. JT actually feels that he wants to be with Liberty, but then, of course, he gets stabbed before telling her the truth. So, yeah, so basically, yeah, JT and Liberty's relationship. But a big what if is, what if they kept the baby? I know you could also say, what if JT and Liberty never broke up and all that? That part would be easy, because obviously if they don't break up, then basically JT would never have to deal with Lakehurst trying to destroy him and succeeding in the end. And of course, Drake Lampley put in jail, Johnny DeMarco having the issues with his best friend stabbing someone, and Lakehurst may not have actually been a major factor in the Degrassi universe. Who knows? But anyway, yeah, like keeping a baby's heart as teenage parents and all that. Few times the parents actually keep the baby and all that. Well, of course, Spike keeps Emma after being pregnant by Shane, and wackiness ensues. Of course, Manny had her baby aborted, even though Craig impregnated her, and Craig wanted to be there for his aborted child, mostly as a way because, with his birth father dead, and of course his mom's dead, Craig wants something to hold on to for family and all that. And that was probably a sign of his bipolar problems that were not talked about till the next season. And of course, Emma was upset with the abortion, but she also knows that it's Manny's choice. What else? I know Jenna and Casey kept their kid and all that, but unfortunately, because of some issues with both of them, Jenna being kind of irresponsible in a sense, and Casey chasing Marisol instead of being with Jenna, they put the baby up for adoption. I know Dallas has a son, Rocky, with his girlfriend, and they kept it, and he's okay. Jonah actually ended up impregnating a girl. I don't know what happened with that, but So yeah, I think teenage pregnancy would have been harsh and all that to keep a kid and all that. That really happened in the next generation phase. But I don't know how Liberty would have been able to raise the kid with her parents' disapproval and all that. I feel like her parents basically pushed her to have an abortion. I mean, not abortion, adoption, pardon. At least Liberty was smart enough to carry the baby full term. All that. Well, JT's heart was in the right place, but I guess it seemed that he was just terrible with things. I personally think that this would definitely have kept Liberty and JT together and would have been one of the best power couplings in Degrassi history, if you will. I like the fact that, JT was willing to step up to the plate and all that. Although it was by illicit means, if you will. Yeah, it would have been a great story, and maybe JT would have not died. I mean, JT might have went to another part of his life, like future endeavors, but fuck. So anyway, the third and final one is about another season 5 plot, and that is about Snake's midlife crisis. Now, Snake in season 3 suffered from leukemia and he had issues and he wanted to die and all that. But thankfully, Joey helps him out by getting Wheels to help him. Of course, Wheels and Snake had an issue because Wheels actually drove drunk and killed the kid. Wheels tells Snake about how he figures how Snake feels, and basically they get back together as friends, and it's great. And Snake feels better about himself. He goes through chemo. The leukemia is out the door, and he's happy. Then season 5, he starts to have a midlife crisis because I guess his age and all that. And he decides to buy a motorcycle. Spike's not too pleased with it. Even though that Snake wants to, try to enjoy life. And Spike is basically saying all these negative things. I think she was just worried about his safety and all that. So anyway, yeah, so basically he gets a motorcycle. He ends up being with Miss Hatzelackles, who also is a motorcycle enthusiast. And basically, Snake feels that he's found someone who treats him well and not like rubbish like the Spike does, in a sense. So basically, yeah, they go to the viewing of the Jane and Silent Bob Go Canadian, which was filmed at Degrassi. I don't know how they managed to get a movie on their property, especially months after Rick Murray's death. So basically, yeah, Emma and Peter are sneaking away and having a tryst. But then Emma finds out about Snake and Hatzelackles having a tryst. Doesn't know what to do. I know that Emma was not supposed to be with Peter, and Snake was not supposed to be Hatzelackles. Emma, of course, has her issues dealing with it, but Emma finally comes clean, and Snake is thrown out of the house. However, Emma is forced to pick up the bulk of Snake's duties with Spike being upset and all that, and not really helping out and all that. So Emma, of course, develops her eating disorder, despite the fact that Snake wins Spike back. And basically, Snake moves back in, and Emma should be happy that Snake's back. But then she still has the eating disorder and all that, even though Snake's back, and Emma doesn't have to worry too much. Unfortunately for Emma, of course, she has her issues. Of course, her relationship with Peter is now out in the open, and basically she has an intervention. So she lashes out at Manny, Peter, and Snake. I feel like she should have lashed out at Spike. So basically, yeah. So of course, Snake's midlife crisis leads to Emma having her eating disorder because she was trying to get control of everything. I feel like in season 7, Spike was upset, with Snake not coming back to the school and all that, not going back to the school because of what Lakehurst was doing to him in the wake of Darcy's false accusations. Even though Darcy was the one who falsely accused and basically, all this stuff. Darcy was trying to atone for her mistake. Spike basically says that you're worrying Emma to the point that she's trying to get control and she's recovering anorexic and all that. It makes me think that Spike is, of course, maybe jealous that, Emma's trying to run Snake's. Emma's trying to treat Snake better than her. Could be jealousy. So anyway, yeah. So of course that midlife crisis. The simple question is, what if he never had that midlife crisis? Oh yeah, I forgot to add that Snake did sell the motorcycle and decided to take the family on a trip to New York when Emma recovers from her eating disorder, which she did. So basically, Emma that's the hard to say though, too. Because, Snake's treats with Hatzelackles led to more character development for Emma's problems in season 5, more so than his. Snake was trying to find how his life had purpose, and Spike seemed to be a little bossy and controlling. And a lot of people said that's where Emma gets her problems from. It's Spike. It's Spike's fault, not Emma's. Regardless, yeah, and this was actually part of how Emma got an eating disorder. But this was not all why Emma had an eating disorder. She was trying to keep her relationship with Peter secret. She was told by Manny to try to help her lose weight for a role. Manny should be blamed on that merit alone. She was part of why Emma still had the eating disorder. And yet, Emma's eating disorder, one problem was basically with Snake out of the house, she was forced to do a lot more stuff for for unwell Spike and all that. I'm surprised Emma didn't just tell Spike to suck it up and all that. But yeah, but I think Emma would have probably still had the eating disorder because, as I said, she still had that problem with Peter. She and Manny told her about losing weight for a role, and then of course, the Rick situation. A lot of people said that Spike's midlife crisis was the no Snake's midlife crisis, pardon, was the catalyst for Emma having her eating disorder, but that actually is false. A lot of people also said that with the Rick situation and her feeling guilt over the fact that her Orange Ribbon campaign led to bullying of Rick and how she almost died by Rick's hand. Basically, yeah, all these things. She probably didn't eat well about the in the wake of the Rick Murray situation and all that. It took her a while to recover. So yeah, it would have been funny to see Snake and Hatzelackles at the same time as Peter and Emma. Because if Snake ended up being with Hatzelackles and marrying her, Peter and Emma would have been step-siblings, and that relationship would have been over by marriage, not by Sean's interference. So anyway, thanks for watching and have a good day.